All right, what's up? Quinn with 74Weld here. Figured we'd take a few minutes and do a little comparison video. We did one of these on the Bronco versus Bronco Raptor with portals on the Bronco, bone stock Bronco Raptor. And we're building, so what I'm sitting on is a 2024 392 with 26 miles on it. It was shipped to us by a customer. We're gonna go ahead and put it on portals, but we figured we'd take a couple measurements ahead of time of the before, shoot a little bit of video, and then we'll do the same thing afterwards. So we'll do a quick comparison. Obviously, it's not this is a stock 392. That is far from a stock 392. And since I've had the vehicle now, this is a 2022. I've cut frames, swapped axles, swapped shocks, went to rock jock, anti-rock sway bars, done a bunch of stuff on this. But for purposes of measuring and things, this will give you kind of a good baseline of what to expect. We'll also do a straightforward, same thing, measurements on this after we do portals on it. So, and I get the question a lot is, I get guys that call me, and I'll be honest, the number one customer buying portals on a Jeep is a guy that goes out and buys a 392 and says, I get the phone call and they say, well, so what do I got to do to run 40s? And the honest truth is you just bolt portals on. Now, if you're going to run a 40, there's one caveat. A 40 will not clear when you start turning lock to lock. It'll end up hitting the back side of that inner fender liner, not the physical fender itself. So if you look at mine, I have Nemesis off-road inner fender liners. If you're gonna run a 40, you have to change the fender liners, but whether you want Nemesis or Savvy or Artec, American Adventure Labs. I mean, there's probably 10 companies that make fender liners for these things. That is something you have to change. Other than that, so this customer, it's getting portals. Are we doing anything else? No, and it's getting a set of method wheels and 40-inch Nitto. They're the exact same tire that I'm running. So a Nitto Trail Nitto Trail Grappler 40 13 5 17. So we'll do a couple measurements of the before, and then we'll compare them to my 392, and then we'll also shoot a second video later on where we shoot just this same vehicle after portals, pull the same dimensions, but on all of our, so this has a Dynatrac axle package in it right now. It's still a 44, and I'm a firm believer that a 44 ring and pinion in this setup with a 40 is perfectly fine for one reason, or for, I guess, two reasons. One, the portal's gonna take strain off of everything inside of it, so your ring and pinion is gonna see 22% less torque run through it. But on top of that, and I would argue a much bigger deal, is the fact that your ring and pinion, when you stay into a higher ratio, like a 410 or a 373, it has more teeth on the pinion gear itself. And typically it's not a ring gear that's going to fail on you. It's when you get into the fives on ratios, so 513, 538, your pinion gear itself becomes very small, and the number of teeth that are in contact with the ring gear decrease. That is the big strength issue with going to a 513. So I'm running a 410 in the front of this. That is an extremely strong pinion gear. And since we put a portal outside, that gives you your reduction. So I don't expect to ever see broken pinions in a Dana 44 running a 40, because that 410 gear set is strong. And typically you would never run a 410 gear set with a 40-inch tire. It's going to be a complete dog. The reason it's not a dog is because we put a 22% gear reduction out here. It converts you to a 5.0 final drive, puts you right where you want to be, and then you still get to keep a strong ring gear, a ring and pinion. So we'll just pull some measurements outside the tire and physically go to the outside of the bulge. And so I'm going to say we're 79 3/4. We could call it, yeah, well, call it what it is, 79 3/4. And I am 86 on this. And I should clarify this. So this is a custom axle package that we make with Dynatrack. This is not a JL with housing. This is actually a JK with housing with JL outers. So we've narrowed up this housing because this is 100% personal preference. I like things wider than stock. I don't like crazy wide. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's literally a personal preference. So not super wide. I mean, you definitely still have a couple inches outside, but if you compare this, and I don't have these numbers, but if you're watching this and you have a built Jeep, you can do the same comparison. So how wide are we outside a tire? 86 is really not a wide vehicle. I would argue that probably most standard built Jeeps on 40s are going to be wider than this. So a couple others. Totally a not fair comparison because I did the Moto-Built Tomahawk frame chop bumper. So I'm gonna, I guess, try to go to the bottom of where the frame was. Okay, so we're 31 1/4 inches. When I get up here, I've got 34 inches of clearance and a nice approach angle. I just got to the point where I've owned the vehicle for a couple years. I don't mind cutting it. So I'll try and do the same. I'm just gonna actually grab bottom of frame, and we're 24 1/2 inches. Now this has frame horns and some donkey stuff that hangs down low, that hangs down to 17 inches. So 17 to 31 and change. Kind of a big difference there. At the diff, 11 1/2 inches to the bottom of the diff cover. This is still a 44, so it's actually going to be a fair comparison. And we'll verify this because when we shoot the second video of the blue Jeep on portals, it'll be the same axle housing. This is 17 1/4 inches. Obviously, tire size has a big function that plays into that, and so does the portal. Let's see. I think fenders is a good reference. I'll go to the bottom of, so to the, these are the American Adventure Lab Highline fender lights. But if we go 48 1/4 is to the seam there, and I can get that same measurement here. .40 1/4. Okay. So tire size and portals. I'm on a rock crawler spring. It's technically a 1.5 inch lift spring for a diesel JT. I got that right. I've played with springs a little bit. Jeremy at Rock Crawler is a buddy of mine, has sent me different stuff. I kind of settled on what I like as far as ride height, and I think we're good over here. Rockers. Factory rockers on this. I'm sure the customer will end up changing that, but we're 20 inches there. And I'll go to the bottom of the rock slide engineering steps, 25 inches. So I like these. Again, I've talked about the rock slide stuff. I have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. Me personally, I don't really care about getting in and out. I could do it, but I like to take my kids off-road, and I like them to be able to actually get in the vehicle. Rear diff is not really going to be any different. That's wild. So this is the XR package. A base price of $91,545. But this, this came set up. This is cool that Jeep does this. Has a winch plate and a Warn winch built into this. The vehicle is 26 miles. It came to us with a Warn winch. And I ran this same factory bumper and just pulled these outside pieces off. I ran this for years. I think, you know, as far as bumpers go, nothing wrong with the stock one. What else did I miss? What else do we want to talk about? So we'll do a second video when this thing is done. We're throwing it on the rack today, and that's why we wanted to kind of get some numbers ahead of time. We'll take some more measurements after, once this thing is on 40s and portals, and then you guys get to get a better true comparison of where is it before and where will it be after. Thanks for watching.